Director Wray, is it a crime under Section 1507 of Title 18 to picket and protest outside of a federal judge's home to try to influence his or her decision?
I don't have the statute in front of me, but that sounds like a fair description.
So on numerous occasions in recent months, there have been large-scale protests outside the homes of Supreme Court justices in the Washington, D.C. area. Yesterday, the head of the Department of Justice Criminal Division confirmed that the Biden Justice Department has not brought a single case against any individual for breaking that law by protesting outside of those justices' homes. Are you aware of the FBI making any arrests for violations of Section 1507?
I'm aware that we have a number of investigations related to threats of violence against justices and against judicial buildings, including the Supreme Court. And of course, we assisted in the recent charges of the individual who had a plot to kill or an intent to kill Justice Kavanaugh. What statutes are involved, I don't know, but I don't think any of them used 1507 as the offense.
Why were there no arrests for an obvious violation that played out on national television? Did someone in the Biden Department of Justice direct you not to let FBI agents enforce that law?
No, I don't think we've gotten any directive to that effect. I think part of what you're driving at, respectfully, goes to questions about the interpretation of and applicability of the statute. And while I absolutely understand your interest in the question, I think this is one of those times where I would point to the department as the lawyers who are making decisions.
Well, I have it right here in front of me. It's not
it.
very confusing. Whoever with the intent of influencing any judge in the discharge of his duty pickets or parades in or near a building or residence occupied or used by such judge shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 1 year. I mean, it happened on national television news. Were there no self-starting FBI agents in the area that thought, wow, they're committing a terrible federal crime, I'm going to go arrest them?
Well, as I said, we're working very closely with the marshals, with Supreme Court police, with the Supreme Court marshals. They have the principal responsibility for crowd control and protecting the justices. We have a number of investigations underway as we speak, and then questions as to the enforcement of that particular statute constitutionally are better directed to the department.
Well, I don't think there's much question about the constitutionality. In 1965, in Cox v. Louisiana, the Supreme Court held up a virtually identical state statute. In 1988, Justice John Paul Stevens stated that it would be constitutional to prohibit protesting outside even an elected official's home, not judges' home, but elected officials' homes, because, quote, there is simply no right to force speech into the home of an unwilling listener. So why did no FBI agent in the national capital region, seeing a crime committed repeatedly on national television, not go enforce the law? I mean, don't you expect your agents to go enforce the law? I mean, if they're aware of a bank robbery or kidnapping, do they need direction from on high to make an arrest?
Well, our agents are, as we've discussed at some length in different ways throughout this hearing, are up to their necks enforcing all sorts of laws. And I wish we were in a situation where every federal violation that occurred in this country was something the FBI could have the resources to investigate. We have prioritized focusing on violence and threats of violence, and we are aggressively investigating in that space across the spectrum, including violence and threats of violence against members of the judicial branch.
Well, I mean, these protests wound up with a hitman traveling across the country trying to assassinate Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
And he's been arrested and charged federally.
Seriously, yeah. In addition to that actual hitman's crimes. I mean, again, it was happening on national television. Seems like a layup to show up and arrest them. I mean, what if those protesters were protesting outside of a district judge home, were members of MS-13, and that judge was presiding over the murder and racketeering trial of an MS-13 gang lord? Would you expect your agents to show up and arrest those protesters?
I would think we would want to be aggressively investigating MS-13 members, and we are.
So, that didn't answer my question. Would you expect your agents to stop MS-13 from protesting outside of a federal judge's home as that judge presided over an MS-13 murder trial?
Knowing what we know about MS-13 and their almost epic commitment to violence, an MS-13 member engaging in that activity outside a judge presiding over an MS-13 trial would be something that I think would lead to us trying to look at every tool we have to be able to protect that judge.
So it's okay to protest outside of the Supreme Court justice's home if you disagree with their potential rulings?
I didn't say that. I don't believe that.
So what's the difference between the two?
I think the difference is twofold. One, we have to make sure that we are prioritizing and enforcing those violations of federal criminal law that represent the greatest threat to the public, and so that in particular focuses on violence and threats of violence. Second, as to this particular statute, questions about when it applies constitutionally are, with respect, better directed to the department. If I was sitting here as the Assistant Attorney General or the Attorney General, I might have a different type of response to you, but as FBI Director, on the interpretation of the statute constitutionally, I would defer to the department on that.
Well, I'm very disappointed that the Department of Justice and the FBI didn't take these protests themselves seriously. As I said, they led to a Democratic hitman showing up and trying to assassinate a sitting Supreme Court justice. We all know a federal judge who lost her son and almost lost her husband because someone showed up at their home as well. These are serious and grave threats. It is an obvious black letter violation of the criminal law. And I hope if it happens again, the FBI will take it more seriously and start arresting them and charging with the violation of this obvious crime.